I've got some free time right now. Yeah, I can do that. What are you interested in? Just straight sex, or? Well, it depends on what you want, honey. Okay, my rates are $65 for a half hour. Okay, I'll see you in a few. Okay, bye. Chicago, Milwaukee, New Bedford, Richmond, a lot of Richmond, Daytona Beach, Orlando. It's all over the country. We're all dealing with the same problem. And we're lucky to have one person assigned to human trafficking investigations, because a lot of counties don't have that, a lot of agencies don't have that. You know, they're just working cases as they come in, whereas I can be a little bit more proactive, because this is what I do all day, every day. And those are the type of cases I work. Right now we're on the outskirts of Harrison Township and Vandalia and Butler Township. And those are, you know, communities where you wouldn't always suspect that that kind of stuff's going on.
When I first heard of sex trafficking, I thought what I think most people think, and that's about the little girls in Thailand, or someone in a foreign country, or that very occasional person who is kidnapped and taken outside the country. The first time that I found out that sex trafficking was happening here in the United States, and it was happening in this area, I think I was almost in just a little bit of disbelief. I didn't want to really think that it was happening, because I think most people don't understand what it really is.
I really first got energized about this. We found an 18-year-old girl sitting on a corner who was raped, beat, and she's sitting on the corner crying for her mom, an 18-year-old kid. I said enough is enough. That's when I started our trafficking detective. I went after Detective Dingy because I knew she's very passionate about people, very passionate about the community. She's very driven, and she's doing a good job, you know, trying to protect our young women in this community.
During these internet prostitution stings, we're going to be doing this operation for several days, and we need to get some items for our location to stock it and to have snacks, fill cabinets, that kind of thing. We're going to need some condoms, some lubrication, because those are things that a real escort internet prostitute would need, and we need to have those things there as props. Morning. A lot of preparation goes into the sting, trying to set it up. And what our hope is that we can catch not only Johns, we also want to stop prostitution, but we want to catch anyone that would be pimping out those girls. We want to get to the root of the problem if at all possible. I have to do a lot of research online. I have to use a lot of technology, because that's where it's happening. So if I put in USA and I put in Ohio, in a lot of these pictures, it's very obvious that the woman in the photograph's not taking the picture herself. Someone's taking the picture for her. You know, when their backside is to you, they're not taking that photograph. So somebody's helping them do that. So are they willing? Are they being forced? Are they being coerced?
I started off on the internet. I worked for a pimp. I didn't know that. I didn't know that those still existed. I thought it was like this even bargain thing, but I worked for a pimp. I describe it as doing things that you don't want to do. Even though yourself, you justify that you're doing what you want to do, in the end, somebody has control over you. I did things that I would never, ever thought I would do. You know, I wasn't raised that way or anything, but when sometimes you feel like your back's against the wall, you have no choice.
I grew up in a pretty upper middle class family, probably more upper than middle. I grew up with a mom and a dad. I definitely was the typical high school cheerleader. I cheered my entire life. I ended up homecoming queen, student council secretary. That was my high school journey to the public eye. I started, dating this guy. He was a police officer in our community. At the time, I was 15 when this started, and he was 21. He kind of presented the idea to me of, you're gonna have sex with these people and they'll give me money and we'll split it. This is a business opportunity. I ended up trying drugs with a friend, and I realized how much I liked it. And he was like, well, I'm a cop, I know where to get more, I can get you what you want. And so I started using drugs, and eventually it was I needed the drugs enough that I was kind of yeah, you're okay, I'll do it. I didn't realize how big it was gonna be.
I think my daughter's story is probably atypical. She was not raised in a home where drug use was acceptable. She was not raised in a home where parents partied. She was not raised in a home without adult supervision. She grew up in church. I still to this day can't understand how she went from my daughter that went to church to working in a brothel and being a heroin addict. I still don't understand how that happened. This is the way I remember her. That was at Kings Island. She was just a little thing. And that was the first time she rode a roller coaster. It was like the little Scooby-Doo. That's one of my favorite pictures of her.
Oftentimes, law enforcement can create our own ad and see what happens, see what kind of interest we get. And a lot of times they'll ask me for a full body picture or a picture of my boobs, or which I don't. I only go so far with this job. Sometimes they'll tell you right then what they are looking for, what they want you to do to them, what's your rate for an hour, what's your rate for BBBJ, which is a bareback blowjob without a condom. This weekend I was at a volleyball game. Luckily I was sitting at the top of the bleachers, and John sent me a nude photograph of himself. I was sitting with my husband and my best friend, and that pops up on my phone. And luckily, the other moms around me and parents around me didn't see that, but it would have been kind of embarrassing. And I don't want rumors, things spread about me. I've been happily married for 20 years, so it's just awkward moments, and it's part of my job. I had a lot of interest all night long and all morning. I've had a few more dates booked. Now we're approaching the crossroad of 75, State Route 75 and 70. And so you can pretty much get wherever you want in the United States by these two interstate highways. This is a college town, and college students are also getting involved in the trade. They are posting ads, and there's a site that young Usually female adults will use called sugar babies, and it's for like younger college girls. And there's definitely no shortage of pretty young girls in college towns.
So I ended up graduating high school, top of my class, and I got an offer to cheer at a college. And I was like, this is my way out. Like, this is it. I'm gonna move to college. Everything's gonna be perfect. This is gonna end. I'll just start over. It's gonna be a new life. So I went to college, and I was sadly mistaken that the trafficking just continued with me. Now it was new clients and new territory, and it actually was probably a riskier situation because we didn't know these people. And a lot of my clients, like my biggest client was a church pastor of a megachurch. They were other law enforcement officers, firefighters, lawyers, doctors, pastors. I mean, there is no profession that doesn't do this.
I hate to say it, but we're known for having the cheapest heroin in the whole state. And when you have people that are addicted to drugs, they wind up doing things to maintain their drug use. They become very, very easy prey for sex traffickers.
All right, guys, I'm just gonna go through this PowerPoint, but I sent it to most of you. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it because I sent it late last night. Sergeant Abels is gonna be the supervisor. Decoys, make sure you give the arrest takedown signal loud enough so everybody can hear. If you see weapons or contraband, advise over the wire. Oh, it's, hey, let me grab some lube just in case. I'm gonna put the lubricant in the other room. So that'll be my sign. I'll try to get up and leave the room. Decoys, remember to let the suspect bring up either money or the sex act first. I've got the code sections on here for solicitation, promoting, criminal tools, and then compelling. Anybody got any questions? I'm a little nervous. I'm just going through in my head like what I'm gonna say and making sure that I know what I'm gonna do when they call in a second. I think we're ready to go. I have a lot of confidence in my team. I don't want to let them down. And then you'll go all the way to the back, and there's a good place to park back there. And then I'll step out so you can see me, and I'll, get your attention. What are you in? What are you driving?
Hey, Sheriff's Office. Stand up, brother. Stand up, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, put your hands behind your back.
Yes, sir. I'm with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office Range Task Force. All right. Obviously, there's some issues here. You wouldn't be sitting there in handcuffs if there weren't some issues.
Right.
All right. What brings you here today, Tom?
I do this about twice a year, and my life gets kind of crazy sometimes because I'm so busy that I need an outlet.
Are you married right now?
Yes, sir.
Obviously, your wife doesn't know you're here.
No, sir.
Let's say you leave $150 on the counter for them. You realize that some of these women are being maybe trafficked, and that money's not going to that woman, that it's going to somebody else. She might get $20 out of that $150.
Right.
Somebody else is getting that
Right.
rest of that money.
Absolutely.
From here, you'll go downtown. You'll be booked into the county jail.
Thank you, sir.
So we have a female coming, and has an ad, and she is prostituting herself. Some of our male decoys that have made contact with her and set up a date, so she should be coming, and we'll see how that goes.
Sheriff's office. You can leave that. You can leave that on.
No, please.
You can leave that on. Throw that back on. Okay, throw that on.
Please, no, please.
Get dressed, please.
Detective Benji and then Sheriff's deputy. Okay. Do you want to explain to me what was going on today?
Just had a person that posted it online.
Okay. You have an ad online right now.
Someone else does it for me.
Who is that person that has it online for you?
Not a friend.
A friend.
I don't even know if I know their real name.
Does he get a cut?
Yeah.
How much?
I don't know exactly how much. I don't do it every day.
Well, how much was he going to get for this week?
$50.
So they sent an Uber to come get you and bring you here.
Yes.
And they were going to send the Uber. You were
And
going to
I was done
contact
with
them.
tags, yeah.
Has he ever threatened you or told you you better not rip him off or anything like that? Are you scared of him? I mean, you scared to cross him?
Yeah, I don't know.
What would happen if you didn't give him his $50?
I don't know what would happen. I would never do that.
You know, we took her into custody and I think she's probably being trafficked, but she didn't want to admit that to me. She had admitted that she'd been, abused as a child. Everything that she said was in line with the trafficking victim, but she didn't admit that. Yeah, I am actually. I've got some free time right now. Yeah, I can do that. What are you interested in? A half hour? Just straight sex, or? Well, it depends on what you want, honey. Okay, I'll see you in a few.
Hi, Sheriff's office. Take your hand out of your pocket, brother.
Hello, where's the Sheriff's office?
Turn around, put your hands behind your back, man.
Hands on your back. Sure.
Appreciate
Anything I
that.
really need to know about me, man? No, not okay. Yeah, you got a second here, Steve? Yep. Just so you know right now, you're being detained, okay? Just for our safety, we'll let you know a little bit more what's going on here.
Detectives with the Sheriff's Office. Obviously, we're doing a quote-unquote prostitution sting today. Don't have any.
You know, can I just mention one thing? I think I'm gonna throw up.
You think you're gonna throw up?
Stand by. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Feel better? Okay. We're here with the Sheriff's Office again, prostitution sting. In light of the situation, the biggest reason we're out here is for human trafficking.
Any questions for us from, about what happens from here?
Well, I suppose I'll find out, right?
Well, you'll be given a bond, and then once you'll have the ability to post bond. You have a chance to make your phone call.
You mean I'm going to jail today?
That will be up to the detective, but there's a good chance.
Oh man, this is gonna blow my life up already, and I just don't need that, really. I mean, I don't have anything to tell you. I'm just a fucking goof that lives south of here, going to work, acting stupid. A lapse in judgment can blow your life up, and I've worked very hard for a long number of years to not have just an average life.
I did feel a little sorry for him, but then I thought about his wife and how she would feel about him doing that, and then I wasn't as sorry for him. And also the fact that he's just making our problem harder to combat because he's throwing money at it. And encouraging these women to sell themselves, or men who are pimping them to sell them, that makes me feel less sorry for him. As you can see, the men that are frequenting prostitutes in this area cross every social, economic boundary. We've got all ages, we've got all races, we've got men that have probably little means, we have men that have great means. And so, I mean, one of the gentlemen today showed up in a Mercedes. So hopefully by publicizing what happened the last few days, by putting these, I hate to say it, but putting their faces out there in the media, that's what they got caught doing, I think that it does send a clear message that this is not okay, it is illegal, and they shouldn't be doing it.
You probably don't feel like you should be here, or many of you feel that you don't deserve to be here, that maybe that you were wrongly treated, or that this is just some kind of victimless crime. I hope after this class is done, you'll start to feel differently about how this kind of activity affects our society.
I went to the John School 2 years ago for attempting to solicit. It actually changed my life forever.
And also,
the John Education Program is to educate individuals charged with soliciting for prostitution about the consequences of their actions. It's not really meant to necessarily solve all their problems and help them with their problems, but to make them aware of the consequences of their actions, to show them that this is not a victimless crime and that this really does have an impact on themselves that they don't realize, and on others as well.
I didn't even know about human trafficking before John School. I just thought it was basically people who were doing it to make money. To me, I didn't think it was them being forced into it. But after going through John School, learning that, it basically broke my heart, and I wanted to do whatever I could to help make my mistake into something positive. Immediately after, I got involved with them and have been a part of that ever since.
Looking back now, it makes no sense to me, but at the time it seemed like maybe this could be the thing. And I was arrested.
As long as there's a demand, there's always going to be a supply. And my point in trying to teach them is that law enforcement's going after the demand more, to try to have an impact on the supply.
CATCH stands for Changing Actions to Change Habits. Back in 2007 and 2008, we started taking a look at the revolving door crime of prostitution. You know, as ladies get out, come right back. Matter of fact, 80% of women arrested for prostitution or other sex crimes in America come back. They recidivate, and it comes through my courtroom. So I decided to try to figure it out. Help you get to where you need to be. The overlap between human trafficking and prostitution is almost universal. We have statistics that say 92% of women who are in prostitution are also human trafficking victims.
Before I came into catch court, you know, I blame myself for it. Like, I got myself into that situation, and yeah, it took me a while to believe that I was a victim. I got picked up by Vice, and I tried to run, and I think, you know, just sitting in that jail cell, knowing that I was pregnant, I don't know who her father is, and you know, what to tell her when she's older. I just kept thinking about, there's no way I can stay in my addiction and stay out there and have a child.
Catch Court is a 2-year intensive probation model, and only people who sign up voluntarily. We don't force anyone into this restorative court. Once we get them in Catch Court, they have residential treatment, which means we control where they live and who they see and who they talk to, whether they have access to social media. Almost everything about their life is controlled until they can learn how to have healthy and safe relationships. They come to court every week. Normally a judge doesn't see you if you're on probation unless you're messing up. Now I see them every week and I check in with them and I see their progress through the notes and I get to interact with them. I think they like that. I think they like the fact that a judge takes an interest in their life and their well-being. We have what we call a trauma-competent courtroom now. Instead of looking at someone and I say, what's wrong with you, which is the way I was trained, I look at someone and I say, I wonder what happened to you.
I've been through so much in the last 3 years than I would have expected my whole entire addiction. Tora, Jody, Hannah, the whole catch court kept me together. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have made it this far.
Over a year ago, I had my third son, and by then I'd been in addiction and prostitution for about 5 years. I wanted out, but there's not a lot of help, I guess. They like give you a list of people to call, and it's like, but I need somewhere right now.
All young women, and maybe all women, are at risk to be taken advantage of by some slick older man who they fall in love with, and then they fall on hard times, and then he requires the woman to help the family out by doing certain things for money. But with heroin, you start to take the average girl at any high school in America and she gets hooked on an opioid, and then it's very quickly from friendship and some drugs to, hey, you owe me and you need to pay this back. Anytime you use that fear, intimidation, or even a drug addiction to get a woman to do something is enough coercion to put you as a human trafficker.
It's really nice to know today that I am surrounded by people who want me to do better and people who support me. I think a lot of people look down on addicts and think, like when I first got pregnant, some of my family was like, oh, the poor baby, and it really hurt my feelings. Just because I'm an addict doesn't mean that, I'm a bad mom.
I know I've always wanted to help others, and I always have. I just did it kind of in the wrong way because I would let myself go to help somebody else, and you can't really help others if you don't help yourself. So when I got to the point where I could, I enrolled at Clark State. I'm in my second semester. I'm going for social services technology to get my chemical dependency counseling certificate to go in the field of drug and alcohol. And I'm super excited, super excited.
Women helping women has been one of the most consistent ways for a woman to succeed in history. As someone put it, it's like being on the Titanic. If you were on the Titanic together, you understand what you went through. And these ladies have all been through the same thing. They can talk to each other in the way that they understand. It's really neat to watch.
I've always said that I'll never get married and I'll never have children. And both of those things have happened. And I think a lot of people question, well, how are you ever intimate again? How do you trust a man again? And it wasn't easy. There's still times that he'll walk up behind me and just put his arm on my shoulder and I have a complete meltdown. I feel like a lot of people feel like this is something that you have to deal with on your own, and you can't. There's a community of survivors that will walk alongside you.
I think I just want her to grow up and know that there is some evil in the world, but then again, that people who, walk through the darkness can see the light again.